Hi guys, I'm back again with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP's stepdaughter who ruined her birthday cake OP made her, but OP was left the guilty one and was blamed by her husband. Listen to the story to find out why, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I've been in Emily's life since she was 14. She is now 17. My God, has it been rough. She is with us 50% of the time. And when she first moved in, we had a whole conversation about how to make this as easy for everyone as possible. If I had an issue, I will talk to my husband, and he handles all the discipline. This is a double-edged sword. She is as sweet as honey when her dad is there, but the moment he's gone, she's an a-hole. Her favorite thing for her to do at the moment is ruin my food. If I'm cooking, she will dump salt into the stew or other things. It's so frustrating, and I haven't been able to catch her. My husband knows and asked about it, but he won't discipline her without proof. So I set up a mini camera in the kitchen. Today I was making her cake, birthday in a week, but was going to surprise her before she went back to her mom. I put them in the oven, and she goes over, takes them out, and dumps a ton of salt on top of it. I threw them out and told her that was her birthday cake, and she's not getting a cake now from me. She goes to her father and tells him I messed up the cake and won't fix it for her. He comes home pissed at me, and I show him the video. He's now even more pissed that I filmed in the house, even though this has been a problem for a while, and he wouldn't do anything. Everyone is calling me a jerk, and I don't know now. Should I just remake the cake? Honestly, I think OP should have served her and her father that cake. Maybe then they would be happy. But I think that the main problem here is OP's husband. He knows. He just doesn't want to discipline her. He just enables her. Since her birthday is in a week and she's going to her mother can bake her a cake. OP should stop baking and cooking for her. When she is there, she should not cook at all, since her father doesn't have the balls to have a talk with her. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Pretzel Mama says, not the a-hole. I'd be asking the husband how exactly you were supposed to prove it without cameras. Sounds like he's angry he now has to deal with his daughter more than anything. Jocelyn 1973 says, not the a-hole. You could have handled it better. Serve the cake and show the video in the meantime. I would divorce over this. Father and daughter are obviously not ready for a relationship with another person, and this will cost you your sanity. Pleasant Birthday 77 says, not the a-hole. She's 17. She's too old for this nonsense. Ruining a cake that someone was baking for you, and then whining about the natural consequences of not having a cake is ridiculous behavior for someone so close to being an adult. Your husband is the a-hole encouraging this nonsense. He's free to bake a cake himself if he thinks it's warranted. Turn the camera off and don't lift a finger to cook the next time she's in the house. Feed yourself only. They'll soon get the message. My half-sister and I are very close in age because my dad cheated on my mom while she was pregnant with me. Mom kicked him out to the curb when she found out, and Dad ended up married to my half-sister's mom. When I would ask why my half-sister had her parents together and I didn't, they would tell me my mom was a mistake in their relationship. For the longest time, they would imply my mom had been the other woman, an affair my dad had. So one day I asked my mom if she had known my dad had been married when she got pregnant with me. My mom told me it had been her she was married to, not my half-sister's mom. She even showed me their wedding photos, which I had never seen before. My dad and his wife told me it had worked out for the best. I told him I didn't think so, because my half-sister had what I never would, her mom and dad together. He tried to convince me I wanted that for my little sister more than myself. I said I didn't. I told him how it would have been nice to have my family all together. That started quite a tension-filled household, which was followed up by my half-sister telling me not to go home to my mom, that her mom was better anyway, and I should stay with her, them, and me saying no, and her being hurt. And then we'd fight, and my dad would get angry at me, and he'd tell me to get over it. When I was 16, I had enough of dealing with my dad and his wife and their refusal to see where I was coming from. My half-sister and I argued. She told me my mom had won and had stolen from her mom again. I told her that her mom was the affair partner, not mine, that my parents had been married until Dad decided he was going to go out and cheat. She called my mom some names that insulted her appearance as an excuse for what Dad did. I told her to consider us no longer related. She told me that wasn't fair. I was putting my mom before her. I told her I would always do that. We're both 18 now, and my half-sister had a baby recently. She fell behind in school a few times, and she just started her senior year of high school while I graduated and started community college. My half-sister called out of the blue and told me she needed me to babysit so she could go into school and talk to some of her teachers. She said her parents were at work. I was so mad at her for asking me. I told her no. She told me I signed up for that stuff when I became a sister. I told her I signed up for none of it, that all of that had been out of my control and was not something I asked for. She got upset and called me a witch. Then my dad started blowing up my phone about making her miss the chance to talk to her teachers and upsetting her because she didn't deserve what I said. Am I the a-hole? OP is definitely not in the wrong here. She should be asking her child's father to step up and parent his child, instead of expecting OP to drop everything to accommodate her and her child. Besides, a lack of planning on her behalf doesn't constitute as an emergency for OP. While OP may be related to her, and not by choice, she's not entitled to OP's time, and nor is she entitled to expect OP to babysit her child. Kids don't sign up for their dad cheating and getting someone else pregnant. They don't even sign up for their parents staying together and having more babies. I really suggest OP to go no contact with her dad, sister, and stepmom. They seem very toxic, and it's not doing OP any good. And now let's hear if the community agrees with me. JWJN Throwaway Kafioff J says, not the a-hole. Tell your dad that if he is so concerned, he can babysit himself or pay for a babysitter. He is the ultimate cause of all this mess, and it's his duty to clean it up. He doesn't get to try to pass the mop to you or have the right to get upset when you throw the mop back. Your sister is in some ways a victim too, but she has damaged your relationship in her own right and doesn't get to make demands of you or try to press sisterly duties onto you. You were right that you signed up for none of it. Centium Was Taken says, not the a-hole. What the duck? When did you supposedly choose to have a sister? When did you choose for her to have a baby? Sounds like y'all have a really dysfunctional family dynamic. You're 18. I'd distance myself a bit if I were you. My, female 48, father, 74 male, and I had a rocky relationship since the beginning. He let his mistress chase my mom, 69 female, away while pregnant with me, 6 months pregnant. And before that, he went to get cigarettes and disappeared for 3 months. They were married. This fact has been confirmed by family members and himself, who calls it a youthful mistake. He liked to denigrate my blue-collar mom. When my mom found success years after the divorce, he took his jealousy out on me. He had 2 children with his mistress and then they broke up. I suffered from poverty shaming before my mom became successful, to humiliating me because my maternal family does not have a long line of college graduates, to openly telling me that my sister, Kay, female 45, and brother Kevin, male 48, yes, we have the same age because the mistress got pregnant the same time as my mom, were better than me, and that I was hopeless and would only make a living if I married into a wealthy family, to using me as a caregiver and leaving me as the only kid without a present on Christmas. He paid no child support, but did pay for my siblings because his ex would put him in jail. They both went to Ivy League schools. I tried to have a relationship with my siblings, but their comments weighed on me. As kids, they celebrated that he left my mom for theirs. Karma. My mom married a wonderful human being, and she's all alone. As adults, they called me a tart. One time, Dad tried to cut my hair because my sister didn't have long hair. I'm very successful now. My work got noticed 15 years ago, and since then, my career changed. I tried to keep a civilized relationship with them all. My father sold me on my sister being extremely successful and making lots of money from investments. I had no reason to doubt it. My brother has a good career. I struggled with imposter syndrome at the beginning because they were superior. My father just recently emailed me what basically sounds like instructions on how to pump up my sister's career. I have access to all of what he's asking. Go to the news outlet and get an interview for my sister. Engage a marketing company to get the word around. Get her a gig with our clients. When I asked who would pay for it, he said, just ask for an exchange. My sister called me and I clarified. She got so angry she kept hanging up and calling back. I found her blog, and I'm shocked to learn that she hasn't had a real job, apparently. And I'm puzzled, because I know for a fact that she graduated from her Ivy League. I did further research and found out that she has only done some work for her mother, but she has no actual job history, doesn't seem to be able to keep a job, and my dad has been supporting her all her life. She called me selfish and a money hoarder. I fired back and called her a loser and said I will never help her because she's not employable. I feel guilty because I have no right to call her a loser regardless. Maybe I should have just ignored her. Am I the a-hole? Both of them treated OP like crap her entire life, and now they are trying to use OP and her success and connections so they can ride OP's coattails. The gold digging never stops. If OP won't say no, they will think they can guilt and manipulate her for bigger things. OP needs to keep the boundaries firm. I make too many puns, says. I will say first and foremost, your dad is the most massive a-hole in this entire story, and it is because of him that you have, what appears to be, such a bad relationship with your siblings. Your sister does not seem to want anything more than a career boost, given that she just expects you to tout her resume, or lack thereof, around. You worked hard for your success. You have a reputation. You should never be expected to do for family at the potential expense of your career. Your sister is a loser because she decided to be nasty to you instead of asking nicely for help. Not the a-hole. Trick Interesting 8032 says, not the a-hole. They are super toxic. I don't know if I should admire your patience for keeping a relationship with them, or if I should doubt your self-esteem for still having the relationship despite all their wrongdoings. Imaginary Cow 5859 says, not the a-hole. She couldn't even be nice during a simple phone call. I'd ignore her from now on. She got an Ivy League degree, but has no connections to help her out other than you. She clearly treats everybody poorly. I, 16 male, have to write a paper for English class about an inspiring romantic relationship in my life. Not sure what the point of it is, but our teacher said it will become relevant in a few weeks. My stepmom and stepsister both assumed I would write about my dad and stepmom's relationship. It was brought up when my stepmom asked how come I hadn't asked her and dad any questions about their relationship yet. I was confused why she was asking that and wasn't putting two and two together right then, and she said I should at least ask some questions before doing my paper. This is when it clicked with me, and I told her my paper wasn't on them. My stepsister was in the room at the time and asked me why. I asked why I'd write a paper about their marriage instead of my parents' marriage. My stepmom said because her and my dad's marriage was the forever one, and seeing as my mom is dead and my dad isn't good at talking about stuff, it makes more sense to write about them. She said she and my dad would be more inspiring for me anyway. I asked her if she ever thought I tried not to think about their relationship too hard, since she and my dad had a very long history, and that as soon as my mom died, he ran back to her and married her. Did she ever think that wasn't something I loved, but something I struggled with, as the son he had with his first wife? They were all about we're a family, it's okay to admit this is better, and that kind of thing. I told them I was writing about my grandparents and to leave it alone. They pushed the issue and said it made more sense to write about your parents. And I said it has already been pointed out that I can't, since my mom is dead and dad is useless at that stuff. Stepmom said that she's my parent. I ignored that and went on about my day. But they brought it up again a couple of days later and said that I should want to write about dad and stepmom, and I was being weird about it, because they will be the primary relationship to model myself after. I snapped. I told them they were idiots if they thought my most inspiring relationship is one that showed how little my dad cared about my mom. Something he said mom would have felt if she knew he went back to the ex he never got over. I told them they are all full of themselves if they think they mean that much to me that I would crap on my mom. I also told them they were deluded. Deluded to think the woman who showed up at my mom's funeral to get my dad back would be the person I would find inspiring in any way. They're angry that I said what I did to them, and I might be a jerk for it. Am I the a-hole? Dungeon Crawler Donut says, not the a-hole. Personally, it feels extremely a-hole-ish for your stepmom to assume that she can replace your mom in your heart, just because she isn't around anymore. I'm a mom and a stepmom, and I've always felt like there's a very fine boundary line I know shouldn't be crossed. She is crossing it, unfortunately. Anyone trying to force you to feel a certain way makes them the a-hole. You should write about whoever you want. The Honest Opinion says, not the a-hole. They pushed and didn't like what came out. I would have rolled on the ground laughing when she said their marriage is the forever one, and they are the primary relationship to model. Me version 2 says, not the a-hole. I think it might have been a different matter if you'd said this the first time, but you'd said you were writing about your grandparents, and they brought it up again. It made no sense to push this point and served no purpose, so of course it was going to be provoking.